April 5th, 2026, Red River Unitarian Universalist Church hosted the Reverend Dr. Mark Y.A. Davies speaking on the topic, Environmental Justice is Attainable. In a world in which those in poverty and persons of color are much more likely to experience environmental injustice, what will it take to attain environmental justice and ensure that all persons have access to clean water, clean air, and nutritious food? Welcome from Red River Unitarian Universalist. Thank you for joining us. The religion we practice in this church is centered in the here and now, rather than the hereafter. It is more of a thinking kind of religion than a believing kind. It is governed more by reason than by tradition, more concerned with the present than the past. It is concerned with getting the most out of life, with living wisely and well. A major aim for us is continually expanding our understanding of life and ourselves. This church is a community of people who share in the free and open search for a level of understanding that will enable us to be more fully and effectively alive. The church does not tell us what we must believe. It stimulates us to think. It supports us in our search. You are welcome to join us. Our centering value is love, with transformation, generosity, equity, interdependence, justice, and pluralism.
Committed to respond to the call of a wounded world, we join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds, embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth. We light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, strength, and courage to create a new world, not of wealth, but well-being, a world of new peace and abundance for all. As we give thanks for this earth, our shared and singular home, may we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care, rising to the calls deep within us and all around us. May we respond today and always with courage and with love. At this time, we have our opportunity to light our candles of community, which are on the table to my right. You can light a candle for joy or a concern, to remember someone, or simply to bring more light into the space.
Begging us, please stop listening to greed. Listen to the rivers, listen to the sea, listen to the spirits of the deep. Begging us, please stop listening to greed. She sent the drought to warn us. She sent the storms to scold us. But we don't listen. We burn and we break and we take and we take and we take till it's too late. Oh, where did the beasts go? trees grow? Where will man go when he has lost the heart beat beneath his feet? Oh, this is our home. She gives us home, Mother Earth. Can you feel her heart beat beneath your feet? Heart beat beneath your feet. Heart beat beneath your feet. Listen to the animals, listen to the trees, listen to the spirits of the earth begging us, please stop listening to greed. Listen to the rivers, listen to the sea, listen to the spirits of the deep begging us, please stop listening to greed. Listen to the animals, listen to the trees, listen to the spirits of the earth begging us, please stop listening to greed. Listen to the rivers, listen to the sea, listen to the spirits of the deep begging us, please stop listening to greed.
Hear these words for the lighting of our chalice. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that it may be a beacon of hope in moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and the unknown. We light this flame and are emboldened by its blaze, knowing our strength as a prophetic and powerful people is rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love. Let's join together in our spoken affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and freedom, and to help one another. We light this peace candle to remind us of all the places in the world where there is no peace. Join me in the words now on the screen. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. At this time, Ava's going to come and give our UU snippet for the day.
Thank you. So, our snippet today, is benefits and responsibilities of being a UU member. Our worship, the warmth of our community, our programs, our music, our commitment to justice, and our outreach all make Red River UU Church a very special place. Our church's mission works because of people like you who participate, volunteer, and uplift each other through a spiritual connection of unity. It provides many benefits to our members, including the following: being part of a community focused on shared values, fellowship, and spiritual growth. Some activities include Adult Forum, Lifespan Learning, Caring Circle, Chalice Circle, and interest groups such as Earth Day Planning Committee, Monarch Way Station, Movable Feast, Social Justice Group, and outreach programs such as the Texhoma Family Shelter. Right to vote on congregational budgets, leadership, and policies is another right. The congregational meeting to do that is coming up in April 19th. Eligibility to serve on the Board of Trustees is another. Serving on committees such as delegate or to organizations and events, including INTUC. Access to ministerial services for ceremonies like weddings, child dedications, and memorials, and access to church facilities for personal events. Being a member carries some expected responsibilities, those needed to keep the church viable so that it can provide for its members' needs. These involve the following: making an annual financial pledge to support the congregation's operations and mission, regular attendance at Sunday worship and engagement in church life, volunteering for committees, religious education, social justice activities, or operation tasks, committing to a personal, free, and responsible search for truth and meaning, and participating in congregational meetings to make decisions. We welcome any and all to join with us to create and sustain this entity, which is Red River Unitarian Universalist Church.
I was looking forward to hearing Bruce speak today on stewardship because he's one of our best speakers. And I was looking forward to Bruce announcing that we had met our pledge drive goal. But Bruce isn't here, so I found out I get to wing it. And we have not met our pledge goal by a lot. Can you hear me better? Okay. I could see Billy giving me signals, but I wasn't sure what the signal was. Okay. Okay. Last year was the first year we did not make our pledge goals. We had to dip into our savings to get through the year. And fortunately, we have savings, but those savings are supposed to be for replacing the roof, for the inevitable plumbing debacles that occur with an old building like this, for all of the emergencies that we know are going to happen at some point. We also have some restricted funds. Some of those also go toward building maintenance, so we are going to be able to replace the rotted back doors, which is going to cost a couple of $1,000s, and that's not coming out of the pledge funds. But as of today, only 22 active members have pledged. That's 38%. We are $12,000 short. This is not sustainable. I know people wait to the last minute to pledge, and you can certainly pledge after the official pledge drive is over, or just make cash donations to the church. The offering bowl goes to Earth Day and to the shelter, but this isn't sustainable. We are not going to be able to continue to exist more than a couple more years if we stay this far below pledge goals each year. And our pledges, our budget is the absolute minimum. We are paying for our speakers to come on Sunday. We pay utilities, insurance on the building, the lawn being mowed. Minnie cleans the church every week. There's nothing we can cut. There's not one single item. We donate most of the cleaning supplies and the coffee. You know, those are not coming out of the budget. There is nothing here that we can cut and survive as a place meeting in this building. And yet, we're over $12,000 short. I hope that those of you who have not pledged will do so. I hope those who have pledged and can add a little bit more will do so, because otherwise, we're not going to make it. And in addition to your money, we need your time. Most of you volunteer in at least one committee already, and I thank you so much for it. Next Saturday is the first work day we've had in a long time. The building needs a lot of cleaning. We need to sort through old paperwork so that it can be shredded at the Earth Day Festival. We have a lot of work to be done, and I hope that every single one of you will come and do what you're able to do next Saturday starting at 10 o'clock. But please, please, please consider pledging or otherwise donating, because we're not going to make it otherwise.
Our opening thought comes from Naomi Klein, from her work On Fire, The Case for the Green New Deal. Klein writes, "We face so many overlapping and intersecting crises that we can't afford to fix them one at a time. We need integrated solutions that radically bring down emissions while creating huge numbers of good, unionized jobs and delivering meaningful justice to those who have been most abused and excluded under the current extractive economy." I will do that from now on. So. Yes, thank you. It's so nice to have live music too. Our next reading is from Robert Bullard. This is from an interview that he had with Democracy Now! In 2017. Robert Bullard is widely known as the founder of the environmental justice movement. Bullard said, "It was very clear that people who were making decisions county commissioners or industrial boards or city councils were not the same people who were hosting these facilities in their communities. Without a doubt, it was a form of apartheid where whites were making decisions and black people and brown people and people of color, including Native Americans on reservations, had no seat at the table. For a time of meditation this morning, we'll be hearing words from Tess Baumberger. Let us make this earth a heaven. So let's take some time to get in a relaxed position, perhaps both feet on the floor or any other position that's most relaxing for you. Perhaps just close your eyes, center yourself, let go of all those things around us that might be taking our minds elsewhere. And let's take a few deep breaths, breathing in and out. In and out. Let us make this earth a heaven right here, right now. Who knows what existences death will bring? Let us create a heaven here on earth where love and truth and justice reign. Let us welcome all at our pearly gates, our freedom table, amid singing and great rejoicing, with all our lovely colors, straight, gay, transgender, bisexual, and all the ways of loving each other's bodies. Young, old, fat, thin, variously able, gentle, cranky, joyous, sorrowing. Let no one feel excluded. Let no one feel alone. May the rich let loose their wealth to rain upon the poor. May the poor share their riches with those too used to money. May we come to venerate the earth, our mother, and tend her with wisdom and compassion. May we make our earth an Eden, a paradise. May no one wish to leave her. May hate and warfare cease to clash in causes too old and tired to name. Religion, nationalism, the false god of gold, deep-rooted ethnic hatreds. May these all disperse and wane. May we see each other's true selves. May we all dwell together in peace and joy and understanding. Let us make a heaven here on earth before it is too late. Let us make this earth a heaven for each other's sake. Our next reading is also from Robert Bullard in an interview with PBS in 2020. We look at which communities are actually at greatest risk from disasters and floods like this historically. It's been low-income communities and communities of color, communities that live in low-lying areas that are very prone to flooding. And it's very difficult to get insurance, not just flood insurance, but regular insurance because of redlining. So what Hurricane Harvey has done is to expose those inequalities that existed before the storm. Disasters like this widen and exacerbate inequality. Now we'll sing Trouble in the Water.
Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children.
Water moves, new world order rules. Through hurricanes, the pain is made audible. Sound waves, shot-town graves dug deep. Water dirty like the police that flood streets. Blood on the beach, sandstorms on the streets. A man's form can be transformed with the heat of the moment. We think our opponent is overseas, but we messing with Mother Nature's ovaries. It's a cruel winter, summer don't know itself. I say get green, but all know it's wealth. I know I'm supposed to help, that's what I'm made for. I'm a made man, but I ain't a maid though. God's gift to this earth, that's what she prayed for. They ain't been stable since Cain killed Abel.
Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water.
It's from Lord Almighty right here. In the beginning was the Word, and then He made water. Then He made man, and then came to slaughter, slaughter, slaughter. Everything was peaceful till you showed up on the land of other people. Contaminate the ocean, now the water is lethal. 4 bucks for 2 liters, that should be illegal. Amigo, Evo, Contigo, can't even find Nemo. The water used to be see-through, wish weapons was food, then we all be fed. I wish narcotics was fruit, I got them apples in red, the nemesis since Genesis. When the water starts to kill the fish, that's when you know how ill it is. Still it is, they do the unthinkable. Water same color as tea, that's still deemed drinkable. Survival of the fit, how we was brought up, but never taught us prepare for world water.
Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children.
It's a 911 with no imbalance. Fresh and salt water way out of balance. Stop with this goof, ice water challenge. The ocean ain't your mother. Trash can living in the gas land. Fire water flow straight out of the faucet. Now fire water flow straight out of the faucet. We in the planet, Mother Earth is a caustic. So what the is cracking with all this fracking? They gon' around and release the Kraken. Trouble in the water used to mean that a shark could eat you. Now you got a better chance of bumping in the Sharkeisha. I'm part creature, gorilla monsoon tracks for Jesus to talk on. Disease to disease for Jesus to walk on. Heal our Mother Earth, cause she way too big for us to put chalk on. Good music.
Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children. Trouble in the water, trouble in the water, children.
couple of weeks ago, I was invited by an organization that has its headquarters in Oklahoma City by the name of World Neighbors to participate in their 75th anniversary symposium that they held at Oklahoma City University. And they were holding it at Oklahoma City University because the founder of World Neighbors was an Oklahoma City University professor. He was also a United Methodist minister, and he taught in the School of Religion at Oklahoma City University for many, many years. He also did one of his degrees at Boston University, where I did one of my degrees. His name is John L. Peters. John L. Peters. And in 1951, he gave a sermon that was kind of a off-the-cuff sermon. He went off of his prepared remarks and talked about the necessity for us to engage poverty in the world. And in that sermon, he basically founded on that day the organization World Neighbors, which has ended up touching the lives of 30 million people over the years. The main focus of World Neighbors is not to go in and simply provide things for communities, but rather to kind of do an assessment of a community and find ways for that community to address and solve their own challenges, their own problems, to become more self-sufficient and more sustainable. And they've worked with 30 million people since 1951 in doing that. And so they asked me to talk a little bit about environmental justice, because environmental justice is one of the great challenges that World Neighbors has been addressing since 1951. So as part of the symposium, I discussed some of the issues and ongoing challenges of environmental justice, and I made the claim that environmental justice is attainable. Now, I was asked before the service, why haven't we attained it? I'll get into that a little bit in my discourse. It was interesting as I was preparing to be a part of a panel in that symposium a few weeks ago. My dad called me right before we started, and he was just checking in because of my parents' ongoing health problems, and he was also concerned about my wife, who had her shoulder injury. And I told him what I was doing, and he said, "Oh, when I was 16 years old, someone came up to my home church in Ponca City and talked about World Neighbors." And it happened to be John L. Peters, who came and spoke at his church, First Christian Church in Ponca City in 1951. So in looking at this topic of environmental justice that World Neighbors and so many other organizations are trying to help address, we do live in a world where it's very clear that persons who are in poverty and persons of color are much more likely to experience environmental injustice. Part of that is the legacy of racism, the legacy of redlining, the legacy of persons who are living in poverty being closer to areas of pollution, areas of toxic waste, landfills, things of that nature, and not having the infrastructure that is as environmentally sound and healthy as other areas are. And so the question is, what will it take to address this ongoing challenge of environmental injustice and ensure that all persons have access to clean water, clean air, and nutritious food? To address that question, I think it's important to define what environmental justice is and what is environmental injustice. And it's helpful to look at the work of Robert Bullard, who I mentioned twice in the readings today, who, as I mentioned, is widely known as the founder of the environmental justice movement in the United States. In looking at the phenomenon of environmental injustice, Bullard notes, and he did a significant amount of research to provide evidence for this, that environmental injustice is disproportionately found in communities of color within our society. And this is a phenomenon that he refers to as environmental racism that is perpetuated by unjust social and economic systems. The environmental justice movement that he helped to found aims to eradicate these injustices and sees that there is an inherent problem with our prevailing view of justice. If we have an understanding of justice that will allow persons who are living in poverty to experience situations where they're living in toxic areas, where their health is problematic because of the environmental toxins in their area, that we have a problem with our prevailing view of justice. And the problem, he says, that we have is that for the most part, our prevailing view of justice is based on property rights and wealth and a capitalistic value theory. The more property and wealth you have, the more value you are perceived as having. Now, this is a conflation of what I think we might call dignity and price, right? Humans have dignity, things have price, but we put more value on wealth and price than we do on the dignity, on the inherent worth of persons. And in doing so, we end up treating some persons as means only, as things, rather than as ends in themselves with inherent worth. Now, there's a justice theorist, a philosopher, who challenges that understanding of justice that's focused primarily in property and wealth, and his name is John Rawls. I've mentioned him a few times in discourses past, but John Rawls wrote the book on justice. It's called A Theory of Justice, and we all had to read it in graduate school. But he addresses some of the shortcomings of this view of justice that's based in property rights and is a wealth-based concept of justice. And he provides a corrective to this understanding of justice. And instead of focusing on wealth and property, he focuses on cultivating the importance of cultivating equality of opportunity for all persons. And he uses an experiment that I've shared with you before called the veil of ignorance. And he says, okay, what kind of society would you want to have if you were deciding what society would look like and you were behind a veil and the society you were creating is on the other side of the veil? What kind of society would you structure on that other side of the veil if you had no idea where you would end up landing, being born into in that society? And he said if you went through that thought experiment, you would come to the conclusion that you would want a society where there's equality of opportunity in education, in healthcare, in access to clean water and clean air, in access to justice. You'd want equality of opportunity. He asserts that everyone is due equality of opportunity in a just society. And that includes equality of opportunity in relation to environmental justice, regardless of one's economic status, regardless of one's ethnicity or race. Equality of opportunity, though, continues to be difficult to achieve because we perpetuate in our society unjust economic systems, and we have systemic racism that is so widespread, so baked into our society. And this is primarily a problem of political and moral collective will. It's a problem of our inability to muster the political will, the moral will to transform the systems that perpetuate environmental injustice, that perpetuate environmental racism. So environmental justice is attainable, but it requires systemic change. It requires systemic change in our political and economic systems towards a more participatory and equitable society. Sadly, we're moving in the wrong direction when it comes to developing a more diverse, equitable, inclusive, and participatory society. And some of the work that has been done in the past to address environmental injustice, for example, the Environmental Protection Agency, in the past has had programs and offices that were responsible for cultivating environmental justice, for addressing the problem of environmental racism. Those offices and programs have been shut down by the current administration in the United States. And if we look at some specific environmental justice issues here in the United States, and we see what is being done to address them, we see that we're moving in the wrong direction. The historical practice of segregation, the redlining that I mentioned before that led to persons of color and persons experiencing poverty to be living in areas that are separate from wealthier, primarily white communities, and the persons living in poverty and persons of color who are living there experiencing clearly the brunt of our worst environmental health and safety problems. And this is not currently getting better. For example, Cancer Alley in Louisiana and moving into southeast Texas. Clearly a situation of persons living in poverty, persons of color who are experiencing the brunt of environmental health and safety problems there. You see the impact of fossil fuel and petrochemical industries in the Houston area where Robert Bullard is from. And you see all sorts of situations of minority communities living there experiencing the brunt of environmental problems. All over the United States, toxic waste sites and landfills are much more likely to be placed in the most vulnerable and impoverished communities. In my city where I live, Oklahoma City, one need only look at Nichols Hills in Oklahoma City as an example of this inequality and injustice. Nichols Hills is about the richest community in the United States almost. It's certainly one of the richest in Oklahoma. And there is almost no environmental issues, health, safety issues anywhere near Nichols Hills. But if you move into other portions of the city where persons of color and persons who are living in poverty live, that's where the landfills are, that's where the industrial sites are, that's where the toxic waste is. We also know other examples throughout the country. The Flint water crisis obviously is an issue of environmental justice, environmental racism. And we've also clearly seen that indigenous persons living in the United States and all over the world have experienced significant environmental injustices, mining practices, waste of those mining practices being just one example. Globally, we see environmental injustice and environmental racism playing out in the climate crisis, as the parts of the world that are least responsible for the climate crisis experiencing some of the worst effects of global climate change. We also see this in the economic and environmental exploitation of the global South. It must sadly be noted that efforts to address many of these injustices have been abandoned by the United States, as seen in our cutting of USAID, and also in our withdrawing not once, but twice from the Paris Climate Agreement. I would argue that there is significant evidence that the rise of global fascism and its embrace by the oligarchs of the world, that that's the greatest threat that's facing environmental justice. And it is without exaggeration an existential threat to human civilization as we know it. In a time such as the one we are currently experiencing in our context here in the United States, in which very little is being done by our government to address the systemic causes of environmental injustice, it makes the work of organizations like the one I mentioned, World Neighbors, where they're really trying to address these issues at a community by community level, even more important as they're trying to make and help communities become more self-sufficient and sustainable. The work of education, the work of training to help communities become more independent and sustainable will continue to be a key aspect of working for environmental justice throughout the world. But that will not be enough. We have to have systemic transformation. We have to have systemic change. We have to cultivate the political and moral will to make these systemic changes that are so critically needed. I have a few things that I want to share with you that you might want to look at, that we don't have time to look at in this setting. But if you'd like to look at some documentaries or some films or some shorts that lay out some of the challenges of environmental justice and what we can do to bring it about, first I would recommend a number of short video clips about and by Robert Bullard. Just Google Robert Bullard, Bullard, environmental justice, environmental racism. You'll find a number of short clips that I think are very helpful. And then also I want to lift up a documentary that I've mentioned before. The title of the documentary is Tomorrow, which can be confusing when you're talking about it. I show this in class. I tell my students we're going to be watching Tomorrow today. Tomorrow we'll be watching Tomorrow, but Tomorrow is the name of the film, and it focuses on sustainability in relation to agriculture, energy, economics, governance, and education. I think provides a vision for environmental justice that's very helpful for us to look at. I want to end today with some words that I had not planned to end with as I was preparing this. But the times are such that I think it's important to end with these words. War is the antithesis of environmental justice. Yep, absolutely. And we must do all we can to move away from a regime that promotes religious wars without any concern for the consequences for people and for the planet. And on this weekend in which so many are reflecting on Jesus, it's critical to remember that fighting a war for Jesus, which is what our Secretary of Defense says we are doing, he literally said that in a prayer. It's important to remember that fighting a war for Jesus is one of the most un-Jesus things a person can do. Yes. Yep. May we all work together for peace, and not just peace, but peace with justice in our world, especially if we're thinking about Jesus, especially for those who are the most vulnerable among us. Do this to the least of these. For those who are experiencing the worst consequences of war in the world. And let us work together in a most powerful way that we possibly can to resurrect love and justice in our world, so that we might see a world in which people can experience not only environmental justice, but experience justice for all in a meaningful way. Unfortunately, there are many people in our world right now who are attempting to kill love and justice. And it's communities like yours, it's communities like ours that have to come together to work to bring about renewed experiences of love and justice in this world. So may it be so as we work together for peace. Amen. At this time, we have an opportunity for giving, and you can bring your gifts to the table, and there's also opportunities to give online as well. And now we'll be singing The Fire of Commitment, which is song 1028 in your songbook. Hear these words for our benediction. May we hear the melody of life and find ourselves singing harmony. May we be open to the dissonances and the song of the land and its people, that we might be part of the world's urging towards justice, peace, and love. May we feel in our bones the rhythms of life and the land and find ourselves dancing. Let's join together in extinguishing our chalices. We extinguish these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our flames did not want to go out today.